But, that's my main worry, is seeing something that's so many houses turned into something like that. And it's hard to get a handle on.
Well, how
that price point?
how wide are the east, do you know how wide the Eastgate streets are?
Maximum of 30 feet wide.
Houses are,
But are some of the Eastgate streets smaller?
Yes.
Wait, streets or lots?
The street.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the
But
lot.
the lots are smaller and there's only one car garage and that's, the setbacks are smaller. I mean, it's not even apples to apples.
30-foot wide lots.
And
You can almost fit 2 of
25
those.
foot setback.
Yeah.
I think they were built.
No, it's a 20.
20-foot setback. It's just so congested.
those houses right there, they, I don't know if they go for, I know they were hunted down there, but they have their garages on the side of the house, and so they don't have a parking on the street. And
The
then,
ones across from me,
yeah,
that they were just recently built,
right, that's what's on the corner,
7 houses there. Yes.
Yeah.
There's no parking
There's-
issues there.
there's none, because like she was saying, you're
But
gonna
they're
buy that
double
big
car
difference.
wide and they're long.
They're not gonna park their cars in the street. But we do have that issue, we know, I live on Yelp, so I know. Yes, I know.
It's horrible. And I get, really worried when I hear the fire trucks, because if they're going down that stretch right there, and there's a car coming, there's no way.
If you think about it, and something happens to one of your kids or one,
Yeah,
they can't get there, how are they gonna get there? And you even have to, a police car get there, because you got to pull over and down. I just think it's too many houses for too small an area. That's not who we are. We are still River Oaks. I don't want to take lots. Herman and I went through this in the very beginning when he came to be mayor about splitting up lots and putting houses and making more rooftops. By the way, this is off subject. Have y'all got anything from Herman?
Not yet, I did, I'm looking this morning.
Who that is? No, but they give her maybe a day or two. I just got a,
How old is she?
103. Just had her birthday in April.
The ex-mayor's mother-in-law.
Anyway,
3 years old.
that's my,
Come on down.
State your name and address for the record.
I will. My name is Roy Shields. I live at 709 Winters. 50 foot was an improvement, but the houses are still 10 foot apart. That's where I have a problem. You take that picture up there, it looks nice. It's got a lot of space around it. But if you put in the picture a house on each side of it 10 foot apart, it wouldn't look near as well. So I'm still against a nice house like that being ruined by having a house on each side of it 10 foot away. Anyone else?
All right. You live there.
I think I'm gonna come at things a little bit different than what we've heard. I'm James Myers, 5825 Meandering Road. Paula, do you, have that loaded? What I'm gonna show you is maybe this might help out the parking situation. I've been spending a great deal of time on that because of emergency situations with the fire trucks, ambulances, things of that nature. Too bad that's not blown up more, but basically what y'all are looking at there is, this is a new development in downtown Fort Worth. Their roads are at 30, they're not at 30 like ours is. Of course, these are newer, built. And their roads start at 40 feet. And then in some places, they have these little cut-throughs, so that would be another 10 foot.
Oh, Scarlett said on Yale.
Yeah, well, we talked something about that at one time.
You go to Bailey Street.
Did you go to another one, please, Paul? And that's just there to show you from the back side of that curve to the one across the street is right at 41 feet. Then they put in these little cutouts, which are approximately 25 by 10 for additional parking. move on. And another one. And another one. Oh, my old Chevy. Yeah, my old Chevy. That's kind of the cutouts there, and what they do with this bob area is that's like, water, turn it off and on connections. Let's see if I've got one down the street. Yeah. Okay, this is the main thing. They use the side cuts, and then that road is at 42 feet. They seem to be from 40 to 43. Of course, granted, these are all new. Our roads are 40, 50 years old. Yeah, so, so at that point in time, that's one reason why we don't have something that we have to be so concerned. I think, Dan, you brought up about the width of the road. And somebody said something about the cul-de-sac would change. And I'm sorry that I missed that part of what was said.
I thought Dan was just pointing out that Hope didn't have a cul-de-sac in this ward.
So I do want to mention the fact that I know exactly where this is, because this is actually where we meet our engineering and design team right down the street. And so we need to be really clear that we're talking about apartments, townhomes, and multifamily here. This is not the same thing. The street and the development that we are now presenting at 40-foot wide and the exceeding capacities as far as linear footage is concerned meets the criteria of 99% of the developments not in River Oaks, not in the city of Fort Worth, not in the state of Texas, but in the country. So I'm really struggling with what the issue is. I really am. When we're now building exactly what 99.9% of the builds are, not just in our county, not just in our state, but in the country. I'm completely flabbergasted.
Well, yeah, I could see how you'd be that way. But we've got a problem, and we don't want it to get worse, because it's not well enough as it goes right now. But, like I said, we're looking at 40, 50 years ago, and this is something. But I certainly understand your side as well. But if we're going to let improvements happen, we would like to get those improvements in a win-win situation.
Right, but I'm not building that here.
And I almost would wonder, has
I'm not
anyone
saying
drove
you
into
are.
a $400,000 home subdivision?
Mm-hmm.
They're 30-foot wide streets, and there's no car, you'll see a random car here or there, but it's very clean and put together. A $400,000 to $500,000 home subdivision. Have we ever driven through one of those? They're gorgeous, because the caliber of person that buys a $400,000 home is not a car junkie, is very organized, they've got their stuff together. And we're giving them 6 spaces on their property.
Yeah, I know, and I commend you for that. That's very good. But what I'm showing is something different that's going on today. I'm not proposing the end cuts. What I'm proposing is that the width of the road needs to come up to our challenges today instead of 50 years ago. Because we can't go back through and change all the places that was here 50 years ago.
And we can't rebuild the city of River Oaks.
Right.
Well, another question for you.
So, but anyway, I just wanted to share my vision of that. So, appreciate it.
Since I've always been the one to bring up cutout, if they did that cut, not them, but if somebody does that cutout, that's their parking, right? Because they've cut out into there.
Right.
Where if the city took 2 or 3 foot cutouts, then that would still be public. Okay. Public. Wouldn't it be public anyway, once you cut it in?
Yeah, it would be technically.
Once it's there, you can't say.
Yeah, if it's a part of the right of way, yes.
Big clarification. I think the whole thing is if you had group parking for your average condensed space, that's gonna help that issue, but,
Okay, do we have anyone else wishing to speak during the public hearing?